So this is just a quick one to discuss the announcement that President Juan Manuel Santos of Colombia has won this year's Nobel Peace Prize. A few days ago, actually, there was reports circulating that it would have been inconceivable for any Colombian to have won this year's Nobel Peace Prize, although that had been speculated on because the peace deal was rejected in a referendum. Before that, I had anticipated that certainly President Santos would be in the running. Um, I have to say I don't have a big issue with this. I'm well aware that the Nobel Peace Prize it's the most prominent of all the prizes. Certainly, it gets a lot more public notice than say physics or chemistry or the other prizes. Um, Certainly, there's controversy around the Nobel Prize. People say it's politicized. People say recipients don't deserve it, and certainly there has been controversial choices in the past. For example, Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize when he was still engaged in active wars. Um, but I have to say, I don't take major issue with President Santos getting this. I appreciate that for Colombians, this is controversial because he is pushing for peace with violent communist insurgency. But, I'm from Northern Ireland, and I remember when both John Major and Tony Blair had to make very complex and difficult negotiations with the IRA, which was a terrorist organisation that had murdered British civilians. And in 1998, there was controversy around that when we had the Good Friday Agreement, because part of the peace agreement was that convicted killers were released. That was very bitter for those who had lost loved ones due to terrorism. But the alternative was the conflict continuing. And I see a similar situation in Colombia, but on a bigger scale. Colombia has been at war for 52 years. It makes it one of the world's longest running conflicts. In fact, I believe the only conflict that's longer running than that as a contiguous conflict is the internal conflicts in Burma. So this really is something that cannot go on forever. I think President Santos has seen that, and he knew there would be political risks involved, but he has went ahead. So politically, it is brave of him. Um, and my understanding is that urban Colombians have a different experience from rural Colombians because it's rural Colombians that have borne the brunt of this war. Now, I'm not going to lecture Colombians. I'm an outsider, so I don't know all the issues. But I don't think this is an example of someone getting it that doesn't deserve it. The whole point about the Nobel Peace Prize is aiming for peace, and that's precisely what President Santos has done. He has risked his personal popularity, he's made political sacrifices, and he is taking a big gamble. So that is politically courageous, and he's doing it for trying to provide a better future for Colombian children. Now, I must admit, I find it hard to understand why anyone would reject the peace deal. I understand people say it's too lenient on FARC, but surely most Colombians want peace. The point I would make, coming from a part of the world that has also had conflict, is peace is never a simple thing. It never comes easily, and there is always some degree of sacrifice. Um, some are saying that Timoshenko, the FARC leader, should have got the prize as well. I don't know about that. It's interesting that he actually sent a congratulations to President Santos, so there's no bitterness about that. They were saying they just want peace. The good thing about Colombia is all sides now genuinely want to see peace. I don't know about the ELN. I know certainly the FARC is interested in peace negotiations. I don't know about the ELN. But this is a conflict that has left over 200,000 dead. It has to end. And there is no simple answers to peace negotiations. Is the negotiations too soft on FARC? I don't know. You have to bear in mind that they're voluntarily engaging this. That includes facing justice for their crimes. So you know, not that the Colombian government's entirely innocent itself. I'm sure there were times in the past where there were disappearances and civilians got caught in the crossfire. But anyway, I think President Santos deserves this, and I congratulate him. Certainly, if it hadn't been Santos, definitely the Syrian white helmets would have deserved it. And I hope they get it next year. These are incredibly brave people who are in the midst of the world's most brutal war, constantly pulling civilians out of rubble. Um, they certainly would deserve it as well. But I don't think there's any major controversy with this. I agree with this decision. I appreciate that there has been controversies in the past, but I don't think this is one such case. So congratulations to President Santos, but more importantly, I hope this peace really lasts in Colombia. Let me know your thoughts. And if you're Colombian, please don't take offense with anything I'm saying. I appreciate you know the situation better than I do, but I just think that based on the Northern Ireland experience, all I would say is peace never comes at an easy price.